Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am super excited to be here with you guys on tonight. Got a great show planned, and I know for sure you are going to leave here a better version of yourself. So I'm really excited about tonight's show. So you guys already know the preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead subscribing to the YouTube channel, and while you're there, go ahead and click on notifications so that you can be notified each and every time a new podcast is uploaded to the site. And then while you're there, go ahead and click on like so that this can be shared with others just like you. Now, if you don't get a chance to catch the podcast on Mondays, you can always catch it on the go. You can catch it on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Again, that's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then you can watch the podcast live every Monday. You can watch it on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. So again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And you can always catch the replay on all of those as well if you're not able to tune in when we get started. And lastly, if you are not following me on Instagram and TikTok, if you don't mind going ahead and following me on both of those platforms, I can be followed at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. Again, that's the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. You can follow me on both Instagram and TikTok. And again, I am just so happy to be here on tonight with you all. And I see we already got Nikhil Choice in the audience, in the chat, and we got Tyson in the chat. Oh, thank you, Tyson. I appreciate it. I like the shirt too. So I mean, shout out to Yolanda Hargrove for making this for me. You know, I never know what I'm gonna wear until she drop it off. So I'm blessed to have somebody with some good taste that know what I like. So thanks, a shout out to Yolanda for designing my shirts and everything every week. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Coach Tiffany, you know, I was introduced to her through Eric Guy. He's a good friend of mine. Eric actually introduced me to the guest from last week as well. But Eric is a great friend of mine, and I trust him, you know, with my life, and I trust his judgment on everything. But he came to me and he was like, hey, man, I know a young lady that would be great for your podcast, and she would be a great addition to the guests you've had on there, and her message and her brand is one that I think you should, you know, get in touch with. So he introduced me to Coach Tiffany, and when he did, you know, she you know, quickly, and well, not quickly, but she easily said that she would come on to the podcast. And I thought that was like amazing, because it's kind of hard nowadays finding people who want to support you in your grind as you support them in theirs. So I'm extremely grateful for her. And I'm really excited to talk about what we're going to be talking about on tonight, because I know you're going to really love it. But I'm going to go ahead and bring Coach Tiffany out so she can tell you about herself. Coach Tiffany.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
what's up? What's up? Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. So, Coach Tiffany, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Look, jack of all trades, master of none is what I normally tell people. No, I have been on a journey, right, of life coaching, a journey of health and wellness. But just recently, I've been on this self love journey. So I'm very excited to be on this journey. I'm very excited to share the message. Um, and hey, let's do it. Life coach it is.
Yeah, so how did you get started on your journey?
So my journey actually started. Um, I probably was life coaching before there was a title of life coaching, but my journey of, I'll say, healing actually started in 2014. 2014. Um, it was a when I tell you one thing happened after another, and you know, dating somebody who you thought you were going to be with. First of all, the relationship was dysfunctional. I take my accountability for being in that relationship. I was a caregiver for my mom. Her health was declining. I was going into business with someone. God gave me a vision, but I wanted to bring someone else along with that vision, and it didn't work. And I just literally hit rock bottom. And And it was May of 2014, and I saw myself sitting in seeing a therapist, and she asked me, "Why are you here today?" And I said, "My life is spiraling out of control." Because as a woman, I just thought I had it all in control. I could do it all. I just kept taking stuff, sweeping it under the rug, putting it on my shoulders and carrying it. Finally, I couldn't carry it anymore. And through that, I've learned some tips. And 2019, I became certified as a life coach. And of course, 2020 happened and COVID happened with 2020. Kind of put it on the back burner. Opportunity came for me to get my bachelor's degree free of charge, and so I did that. And then I was like, "All right, let's do this." So here we are, officially launched More to Wellness 2024 March. And but prior to then, I was taking clients, probably been life coaching since I was 12, 13 years old, just didn't know what it was. So it's just something that's a passion, something that I've always been doing. And now I see it. So that's my journey out here, why we're here today.
Wow. So do you find that, was it uh, a long process for you to get to this place that you like truly loved, unconditionally loved yourself? Was it a process? Did it take a while?
So the thing is I always thought I loved myself, right? I always thought, yep, I love myself, but what I was doing was loving myself on the surface. I'm going to get my hair done, I'm going to get my nails done, I'm going to get an outfit, and all those things were temporary. They felt good in that moment, but after the new clothes are hanging in the closet and you done sweated out your silk press, what else, right? And so through therapy, I found one of the things I didn't do was have boundaries in a lot of areas of my life. When I found out that I didn't have boundaries, I started digging deeper, going, I wouldn't have been in half the situations I had been in had I loved myself deeply. That's that journey. Here's the other part. My self-love will never stop. That journey will never stop. It's always going to be a healing process. It's always You're always going to find that thing. Oh, wait, I thought I loved myself in this area. Let me do this. And then something else shows up and you're like, "Ooh, I got to honor myself." Because that's basically what it is. Self-love is honoring yourself, respecting yourself. So, yeah, it's been a journey. I'm still on the journey. I'm enjoying the journey. I've learned to embrace it. I've learned to, um, I created an acronym. It's called SELF, right, for self love. And the S is stillness. Be okay with sitting still, being in that quietness, allowing your thoughts to just come in. What normally happens is I need to journal it out. What are those thoughts? What are those things, whether good or bad, if it's bad, how do I work on it? If it's good, how do I take it from good to great, right? The E is embrace, fully accepting and welcoming who I am. Embrace it. All of the good, my messy part, the complicated part, without any judgments, right? The L is living. Live for experiences. I was one of them people that used to just, I need new shoes. I need a new purse. I need this. And then you have a closet full of this stuff and you're like, this doesn't give me that kind of satisfaction that I live. I'm rather take a trip down to Austin, Texas and explore something new, jump on a plane and go on vacation, whatever that experience may be. Um, F, flourish, right? We want to grow to our fullest self. So, yeah. And then we talk about love, right? That's love with compassion, love with caring, be kind to yourself, respect yourself, talk nice to yourself, right? Love is that action. So, what I realized is that love that I was trying to give to others, I needed to give it to myself first. And when I did that, it was a game changer.
Wow. I love that. And I loved how you said that there's always opportunities to heal, because recently I was sharing with a friend is that we are all healing in real time. we're healing in real time. And I think so many times we think, oh, well, I'm healed from this here. But like you said, something always comes up. You get out of here, then something else come up. So you
Yeah.
find yourself constantly, like I said, healing in real time. People are watching us
Mhm.
every day heal from something at some point that made it happen years ago, and it resurrected today in our lives and in our mind. And we find ourselves like, maybe I'm not completely over that, or something like that. But
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. For me, I realized my self love, or I don't want to say lack of, because I had a portion of it. I just wasn't to the full extent, right? So maybe I was at self love of 50%, thinking I was at 100, right? But my self love showed up in relationships, right? Those things where that mirror of your partner is looking back at you, and some of the disrespect, right? When I think about the disrespect that I allowed, that's not self love, right? Because you have to respect yourself. If I respect myself, I wouldn't allow the disrespect into my life. I didn't have boundaries. Ooh, that's been a hard one. Learning how to set boundaries, and then people will always try to move that boundary for them, right? When you have people that who don't care about boundaries, right? We just gonna, I don't care about your boundaries, right? So being firm in my boundaries, and keeping it where they are for my safety, right? I'm gonna give you just a little, but you ain't gonna take what I used to give you. So that's been something that I'm constantly working on, setting that boundary, right? That's from relationships with my friendships, relationships with the opposite sex, relationships in family, regard relationships at work, whatever that boundary is, I've had to set it. I've had to move it. I've had to cut people because they constantly kept overstepping that boundary. And that's constantly, that's that healing that will constantly happen. So yeah, it's been a journey that I probably will never get off of, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
okay, so let me ask you this here, Coach Tiff. So, our entire lives, we are taught to be selfless. We're taught to be selfless and never selfish. So we're always taught to put other people ahead of us. Like, do you think that is what impacts a lot of people's self-love for themselves? Because we do, like you said, you've been in relationships where your partner mirrored you, or you accepted um, uh, disrespect from them and so forth. And a lot of times, again, we love people because we love them more than we love ourselves. So we do take stuff, we do stick around, we do it. Do you think that whole selfless, selfish thing, do you think that impacts the way people view themselves and how they love themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Because we're taught, don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Right. Constantly giving, constantly giving, constantly giving. No one ever taught us about the boundaries. Right. Oh, I don't want to say no one. In my life, I wasn't taught about that boundary. Right. As women, I was taught growing up in my house, ain't no man perfect. Stay and put up with it. Wait, what? I remember I was telling my mom one day, um, this was years ago, about a relationship that I just knew he was going to be my husband. Like, oh my God, I love him, right? And I remember telling my mom, he makes me cry. And my mom looked at me and she said, but he makes me laugh. And I sat there and I was like, oh, okay. And then I stayed another 2 years in the relationship, right? Trying not to be selfish. One of the things we have to learn also, we all have flown, right? Mostly everybody has been on an airplane. I used to be a flight attendant for 12 years. One of the things that they say is grab that mask, put it on yourself. It goes with self love first. Make sure you're full, right? Before you start giving love to everybody else. Let some of that fullness overflow into other people. Don't have 50% self love and then you're constantly giving it away and then you're on empty. What do you do, right? So you have to fill yourself up. You have to be good with yourself. You have to be okay. If this person walks away from me, if I lose this job, if whatever that case may be, right? I'm going to be okay. Prior to that, anything happened, I probably would have been sitting on the floor, fetal position, rocking, sucking my thumb, right? Because I'm devastated because I put so much time, so much energy. I put my purpose in that other thing. Create your own purpose. Have your own purpose on why you're living, not living for someone else. I think the other thing is that ride or die. Yeah, I'm not riding with you and I'm not dying for you. Like I'm not doing it. I know that gives you some street cred, but you end up empty. I no longer want to be empty anymore. No longer. So yeah, that selfless thing, nah, nah. I'm gonna take care of me first. You can get the overflow.
Love that. The overflow. I mean, that is so fun. I think because I was just having a conversation because I said, we can't give people, our friends and our family, like you just said, they are supposed to get the overflow of us. They're
Yeah.
supposed to get the overflow. We are giving out of our own cup, depleting ourselves while everybody else around us is happy, but we're empty.
Yeah.
No, you got to fill your own cup and let them get the overflow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no different, John. It's no different than if I have $100, right? And somebody needs $125. Do I give them my $100 and I end up with zero? Or do I give them $25 and let them figure out the rest? Do is just give and give and give. No, I'm not giving anymore. Saw a quote one day and it said, um, givers have to have boundaries because takers don't have any. And when I tell you that was like a gut punch, I was like, oh my God, right? Because they're just going to continue to take, right? So you have to set that, right? That's your responsibility to have the boundaries. It's your responsibility to make sure that you're not giving from an empty cup or a one-fourth cup. It's make sure you're giving from your overflow. And if you don't have the overflow, there is nothing wrong with saying that doesn't work for me right now. No is a complete sentence. If you want to soften it, that doesn't work for me right now. And let people figure it out because people will figure it out.
So how do you know how does one learn how to set boundaries? And then also where to set boundaries because everything don't need a boundary. Something you just need to tell a person, no, I'm not doing that. Bottom line, done. We done with that. That's not a boundary. I'm just not doing it. So how do you know where to place boundaries in life?
How do you feel, right? When we're talking about let's just say friendships and relationships, right? How do you feel when that person is in your presence? Do you feel drained? Do you feel when they call on the phone, are you like picking up your phone going, ugh, not today, right? Set that boundary with that person. One of the biggest boundaries that I learned, not learned, but that I implemented this year, we all have a smartphone. Well, most of all of us have some sort of smartphone that has a do not disturb on it, right? I finally, January 1st, implemented do not disturb on my phone, 10 p.m., 8 a.m. I have my certain people that can come in during that time. After that, don't nobody need to be calling me. How do I feel in situations? Do I feel filled up? Do I feel energized? Is there a light that shines when I'm in that presence of someone? Am I glowing when I'm at work? Whatever situation it is, if you're not feeling good, then there's a boundary that you probably need to set in that relationship. And then, like you said, there's some people that you just need to cut off. You get to make that determination, right? And that's the hard part. Do I need to cut this person off or do I need to set this boundary with them? If you set the boundary and they continuously overstep that boundary, that might be somebody that you might want to cut off, right? You get to make that determination. There's no like blueprint. I can't give you 3 steps like do this, do this, do this. My thing is, how do I feel when I'm in that person? Am I drained when I talk to them? Am I drained when I go to this job? Am I drained when I do this? There might be a boundary that needs to be set there.
Okay, so let me ask you this here, because right now I'm reading Mel Robbins' book, "Let Them." Right, so
Just
she
bought
talks
it.
about.
Just bought it
Oh
two
yeah,
weeks ago.
you gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So okay, so let me ask you this here. So in the book, she talks about like because pretty much you set the boundaries with people, but we have this thing inside of us that we don't want people to drop the ball or we don't want them to fail. So we end up jumping in, controlling the situation. So are there ever any times that we need to set boundaries for ourselves? And
Yes.
how do we set those boundaries for ourselves and just let people, whatever their outcome is supposed to be, because they did it, let it be? How do we set those boundaries for ourselves?
So the first thing is going to be, what is that relationship, right? Because if you drop the ball, that person normally is probably going to blame you, right? Like, you could have came in, you could have fixed this, you could have did this. What's that relationship? Am I willing to lose that relationship if I don't come in and play captain save them, right? So I've had to learn that, especially when it came to some family members, right? Um, Wanting stuff from me. I can't do it. I can't do it, right? And I made that determination. Is this relationship worth me losing part of me? If the answer is no, can you come in and help every now and then? Yes. There are some times when we are supposed to help, right? We're supposed to be compassionate. We're supposed to be caring. We're supposed to be helping others, right? We're here to serve. We're not here, but if it's going to put a detriment to you, if it's going to leave you in a deficit, whether it's mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, spiritually, no. You get to set that boundary, however you want to do it. Um, it's tough. It's probably one of the hardest things that I've had to do, and it's not a one and done. I can set a boundary and then I have to reset it again. Okay, I have to set a boundary. But if I'm constantly resetting that boundary with that same person, with that same situation, I probably don't need it in my life. Right. So it's an inventory. The also thing you have to be aware of is setting those boundaries and not coming in. People are not going to like you. Your healing journey, your self love journey, you will lose people along the way. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with it, because did that person love you for who you are or for what you could do for them? That's an inventory check. That's an inventory check that you have to do. So it's a personal thing. Again, I don't want to sit here and tell somebody, do these 3 steps and you're going to be okay with your boundaries. It's not going to work that way. It goes back to, how do you feel, right? Are you depleted? Set a boundary. Can you help people at times? Yes, right? They always say, when it especially comes to money, if I loan this money, am I okay if I don't get it back? If I don't get the money back, it wasn't a loan, it was a gift. Am I okay with that? I'm never gonna loan, borrow what I'm not afraid of losing. And so we have to do the same thing when we're setting that boundary. I'm not going to give you more if I'm afraid to lose what I'm giving you, whatever it is, of my time, of my energy, whatever it is. If I'm gonna lose it and I'm afraid to lose it and not get it back, yeah, I'm probably not gonna give it to you.
Yeah. And I think the thing that people have to understand with letting people go, I think we hold on to people because, we are afraid of how our future and our lives are going to look without those people. But one thing that I've learned here, and I've learned this here recently, is that when we hold on to people, they're sitting in someone else's chair. And the person that is supposed to sit in that seat, that chair at this phase in our life, they can't sit down because someone else is sitting in that seat. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens when we go somewhere and we see somebody sitting in the seat? We either go to another table, we leave, we don't stick around, we evacuate. But they're sitting in our chair, but you got somebody else sitting in our chair. So you just really have to learn how to, yeah, like you said, let people go. If they draining you and they become toxic in your life, and I don't care how much you love them, family,
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
anybody, you got to cut them off.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in relationships that I probably shouldn't have been in the first place, or I should have been out of them a lot sooner. I take responsibility for staying in places that I shouldn't have stayed. Goes back to what you said, right? I let people sit in a seat longer than what they should have. They didn't even, some of them didn't even deserve. to sit in the seat.
At the
But I
table.
was like, okay, all right, I'm going to make them love me. I'm going to prove myself to them. I'm going to give them any and everything that they want, right? And I'm over here looking for an oxygen tank because I can't breathe anymore. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it, right? So yeah, you have to, you have to, you got to be okay with letting people go, right? If I open up my hand and let people go, my hand is still open for something else to come back in it. Let it go, right? It's the law of attraction, and we get so stuck. One of the biggest things is I spent X amount of time with this person, and are you happy? Are you any closer to your goal? If the answer is no, what are we doing here? What are we doing? So yeah, you got to be okay with letting them go.
Yeah, got to be okay. So let's go ahead. So, Coach Tiffany, why do you think people struggle with self-love? Why do you think they really, because like you said in the beginning, you thought you loved yourself, 100%, and you would subsidize that self-love actually with kind of self-care. You would go get a manicure, get your hair done,
Mhm.
buy a new dress, and you consider that self-love. So what is the challenge most people face with really loving themselves?
So the one is they think they love themselves, right? They think they love themselves. When you boil it down, you most people really don't, right? When we think about the relationships that we're in and we think about situations that we put ourselves in, you really don't love yourself because you're not honoring yourself at that point, right? So honoring yourself. The other part is healing hurts, and people don't want to hurt, right? So people need to know I'm going to go on this healing journey, but there are going to be some hurts that come along with it, right? It goes back to that hurt of somebody just said bye bye. It goes back to letting that person go, right? I'm going to hurt. There's going to be a pain that comes with letting someone go, right? People don't want to sit with themselves. They don't want to have that thought process of what's going on, right? The other part is people don't want to be accountable to do the work, right? They want to blame it on someone else. This person did this. This person, all those things might be true, but what was your story? What was your role in that story? Like, why did you let it? Why did you stay in an abusive relationship, right? What were you getting from it? When they have to answer that question, nah, it's just better for me to stay in it, right? So it's the hard work. People don't want to do the hard work, and that's what it is, right? I wouldn't have known that I didn't love myself the way I should have had I not went to therapy first. My therapy helped me unpack some of my past stuff, right? Once I got that stuff cleared, then I was able to look with clarity about moving forward. Because life coaching is about moving forward. Life coaching isn't about looking back, right? Go to therapy to look back and fix that stuff. Life coaching is about moving forward. So I help people move forward through that, identify which areas that we need to work on in your life where you might be lacking the self love. And then I come up with them. Most life coaching, I have people put a plan together. I'm either going to sign off on it, I'm going to push them a little further because we're not doing surface stuff. We're going to go deep, right? To move forward. And that's what people don't want to do. They don't want to do the work. That's the biggest thing.
And
Nothing's
I
wrong with me. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's everybody else.
And
But
what
you
they
keep getting the same result over and over and
e-
over.
exactly, they keep getting the same results over and over again, because I love how you say you had clarity. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand, is that putting in the work, taking the time to detox, to heal from what you just came out of, it gives you the clarity. And then also asking yourself the questions, like you said, why did I stay in this relationship? Or what is it that this person did for me to make me want to stay with them after they treated me this way? And if you don't ask yourself those questions, you are going to find yourself in the same situation with someone with a different face and a different name.
Come
You got,
on. Come
yeah, you got to
on,
get that
guys.
clarity.
Look, I've dated three guys that had different names, looked different, but the characteristics were all the same. And I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with them. There's something about me that's drawn to that. And how do I stop that? How do I make different choices? Right? It became so familiar to me that I could predict next steps because I just dealt with it in the last relationship. Right? And that's what happens. People get into this cycle, right? They get in a cycle of, he makes me feel good. She looks good. She did this. He did this, right? Because it's the feeling, right? But when it comes down to it, can we do the hard work together when we're having a difficult situation, right? Am I allowing your disrespect, right? No, I'm not. So when there's a disrespect, that's now setting a boundary of my self-love. No, I'm not going to let you disrespect me, right? So I've warned you, do it again, right? Do I give you two tries? Do I do three strikes, you're out? You get to determine that. But if you're discounting it more, that person probably doesn't follow boundaries, and you might not. They definitely don't follow yours, so you have to let them go, right, at that point. Or you just set a different what type of relationship you're going to have with that person. That's not, you get to determine. It's your life, right? You are the driver of your life. The best relationship that you will ever be in is the relationship with self. And if you can't do that, you will be no good for anyone else.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So there are some people that have been in situations their entire lives, and it's toxic on the outside. Looking in on the outside, we see that it's toxic, but because they've been in it so long, it's become comfortable. It's become their normal. It's like a pig in slop. We smell slop, and it smells horrible, but that pig and that hog, they absolutely love it. Can't imagine themselves without it. So, like for those people, how do you recondition your mind to see that this ain't right? Like if you're used to it, how do you switch that up?
First of all, it's a mindset change, right? Ask the first question I'm gonna ask: do you enjoy that? Are you okay with that? If that answer is no, now we have to come up with a game plan, right? Because all of this is about being intentional, right? Self love is intentional. I'm intentional about my decisions that I make. I'm intentional about how I speak to people. I'm intentional about, am I going to stay in that relationship, right? Some people have been in toxic relationships, dysfunctional relationships, that now it has become so normal, they don't know anything different because that's all they've been used to. The other part is, and I can speak for women because me and my girl chats, we've been in there, right? It is, I put so much time in this, I'm not going to let somebody else have him, right? So
Mm.
we hold on to the time. I gave 5 years. I ain't going to let nobody come in and pick, get what I just did. No, let them have it, right? Because one of the things we also know is you're different with different people. You might not have been good for him, but if you let him go, he's now a different person for someone else, right? So it's about being intentional. First, having that mindset change, being intentional, setting those boundaries, and doing things differently, right? Doing something different is scary, and people are scared to make different choices. Why? Because they don't know what the outcome is. They don't know what's going to happen on the other side. They're used to, well, if I do this with this person, I know what he's going to do because it's predictable, right? So they like the predictability. They don't want to try anything new. New can be scary, right? You got to do it. You got to jump. You just got to jump. Try it. What are you going to lose? What will you lose by doing something different? Because what you're currently doing is not working. So let's try something else. Let's try something else.
And they're afraid to lose, but they don't realize they're already losing. They're losing
Big
themselves
loser.
every day. You're
Big
already
loser.
losing. Yeah.
Just a big old L, right? Just a big old L.
The
The big
longer
old
you
L.
stay in environments
Yes,
that do not enhance you in any form, you are losing already. Yeah. But
yes,
let them go be better for
absolutely,
somebody else.
absolutely.
Let them go be better for
Let them
somebody
be
else.
said, yeah, because here's the thing. If they're better for someone else, like you said, now I've moved that person out of that chair, that's going to allow someone else to come in. And here's the other part. If we're talking about relationships and someone else doesn't come and fill that chair, I'm so filled up on my own love, I'm okay. I don't need that chair filled, right? People, and when I was a flight attendant, I would travel the world, right? I remember when I first started, I would ask people, other flight attendants, hey, because I'm new to a city, I'm new to a country, hey, let's go to dinner here, let's go explore. And it would be a senior, a senior flight attendant. They're like, yeah, we already did that. We're not doing that. I was fresh, I was new, I wanted to go see. I could have sat in my room or I had to go out and explore on my own. The first couple of times I sat in my room and I was like, I hate coming to Amsterdam, right? Because I never got to see it the way that I probably should have. That third time, I was like, I'm not sitting in my room. I'm going to walk. I'm going to go this far the first time. The second time, I'm going to go a little further. The next time, I'm going to go a little further. Me now, I'll travel the world by myself. I go out to eat by myself. I dress up, take myself on a date. I'll go to the movies by myself. You have to be okay with self because that chair may not ever be filled and you have to be okay with it. That doesn't mean I don't wish for the companionship, but the other part of it is I've built such a community where I have male friends that I can go out with. I have female friends that I can go out with. I have family. But if the schedules don't work, I'm okay with saying, I want to go to dinner and I want to go now, where I don't have to wait. I don't have to make the plans to do it. A lot of people are afraid to do it. I have a friend right now. She's 53, 52, 53. She's like, I don't go shopping by myself. I don't go out to eat by myself. She does nothing by herself. Girl, you too old for that. And she's been saying that for 30 years that I've known her. And I'm like, mindset change, mindset change. She don't want to change it.
Yeah.
Nothing I can,
Yeah.
nothing I can do with somebody who don't want to change their mind.
Yeah, and I saw somebody said that earlier. Said until they get tired, you can't change their mind. Yeah, people have to
Yeah.
change their own mind. They have to make the decision that I want better than what I'm currently receiving. And I think it was Pat said, "There's don't be scared." Pat said, "Don't be scared."
Yeah.
No, that was Tony said, "Don't be scared." And I think that is so true. People stay in situations because they are afraid of losing someone, or like we said, that empty seat. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing about that, I think when you look at the empty seat, what you should think about is at one time there was somebody that sat in that seat that treated you horribly, that disrespected you, that cheated on you, that did all of these horrible things to you. Would you want would you prefer that or you should be grateful that chair is empty? Don't worry about it because you've had worse. So you know what worse
Mm-hmm.
feel like. So it can only get better. Just be
Mm-hmm.
patient. Just be
Mm-hmm.
patient. Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we're so conditioned that, and society does that, right? Society is like, you have to have somebody, right? You have to have something wrong with you if you don't, right? And then you can always tell people who probably normally don't heal when they don't take time in between relationships. If they jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, where's the healing? What are they doing in that process? You can't be in a relationship for 2 years and then 2 months later you're in another relationship. Wait, what? How, well, nah. Because then what happens? It shows up in that new relationship, right? And they're like, it's that person's fault. No, you're the common denominator. You're the common denominator. I'm like, nah. So I probably take too much time in between relationships, right? I probably heal too much because anybody that's approached me, I'm like, ooh, red flags all over the place, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
so the more healing that you do, right? Because down here, right, you talk about low hanging fruit. When you heal, you're up here, up top. People got to do the work. Folks don't want to do the work. Folks do not want to do the work. Work is
And
hard.
work is hard. It is hard, but when you do the work, it is it's so many benefits that come with doing the work. Because one of the questions that I think everybody should ask somebody before they get into a new relationship is you need to ask them, like, when was your last relationship? When was your last relationship? And then somebody say, oh, I was in this relationship about 5 years and we've been out 3 months. You need to run from that person. Like, you need to
Absolutely.
run from that person. And people, that healing is two-sided. So healing is good when you're coming out of a relationship. It purges the other people. I mean, it purges the previous person out of your life. But for the next person that you're going to date, if they're healed, they're able to see that maybe you're not a good fit for me because you're still entangled in your last relationship. So I don't want all of that drama. But the
Yeah.
world teaches
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
hey, we're supposed to be in a relationship. So we will go and jump in a relationship with somebody that just got our one yesterday. And we
Because
wonder
they
why it
want
don't work.
because they want it to be perceived that I'm okay. That relationship didn't hurt me. That's okay. Nah. We see it all day long, right? You wonder why people are in relationship after relationship after relationship because they've never taken that time to do self-love, to do that healing. What are those parts of you that was drawn to that person that allowed those things to happen, right? That's the part that I don't get.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I just saw that comment. I know who that is. It is. The other side of that mirror is a lot more reflective. It really is, right?
Yes.
People don't want to put that mirror up to themselves. They do not want to put that mirror up. That mirror is scary, right? But people think if I do self care and do skincare regimen, right? Throw on some makeup, go get my hair done, go get a lineup, whatever it is, they think that's gonna fix it, right? That doesn't fix it. Internally, it doesn't fix it because you have to be okay with self, right? When you're not okay with self, you're allowing any and everything to come in. And then you wonder why it's not working, right? Or you're fighting for it. My next relationship, trust and believe, I'm not fighting for it. It's going to be organic, it's going to come naturally. We're going to be two healed people that come together. We're not going to be worried about what that other person, what they went through, because it's going to be in their actions, it's going to be in their words, it's going to be how they treat me and I treat them, right? But if that person doesn't come, I'm okay with that empty seat because I'm filled up 100%. I'm good with Tiffany. I am good. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about, because another part of your brand and your initiative is self care. So let's talk about self. So we've talked about self love. Let's talk about self care. What is self care? Is it me going to get a mani and a pedi and a facial, and is that going out to dinner? Is that self care? I mean, is that all to self care?
All of that is self-care, right? Anything
Okay.
that you're doing for self is all self-care, right? Go get that hair done, go get your mani pedi, going out with your friends, that's self-care, right? Having a kickback at your house, inviting people over, self-care. Being in community with people with likeness, self-care. Pick up a book. I wish more of us picked up a book and read, right? People don't want to read, they don't want to do those things, whatever that is. Going to play basketball, take a yoga class, whatever it is. One of my best self cares is going for a walk. I enjoy simple pleasures. Let me go for a walk. Let me go get some ice cream. Let me cheat. Let me just have a little bit of ice cream, just a little bit, right? Those are self care things, right? I also do journaling. Journaling is a form of self care for me. Going to get a massage is a self care. Whatever those things are that give you lightness, right? That make you feel good. Those are self care things. But we can't do the self care and mask it for self love. Self love is the hard work. When you do the hard work, right, that's okay. I want you then to do self care, celebrate it, right? If you set a goal and you meet that goal, do a self care. celebrate yourself. I don't care what it is, as long as you can afford it, right? I don't want you to go take a trip to Bali and now you're in debt, right? Because self-care is also being financial responsible. Self-love is also being financial responsible, right? People use self-care, self-love interchangeable, and they can be, right? They can be used interchangeable, but the love part is the hard work. The care part is how am I honoring what I like to do? That's the part. That's the difference. But people interchange them all the time.
And I love how you said celebrate the accomplishments, because I think a lot of times we're waiting for the big things. We're waiting for the promotions on jobs and the new houses, but we accomplish so many beautiful things in our lives every day that
Yeah.
we never ever celebrate. And celebrating, like you said, it doesn't have to be a fancy thing. I celebrate everything. I really do. I I do. I celebrate everything. I don't care what it is. I go to Potbelly and get my favorite cookie or something because I want to acknowledge that accomplishment in my
Yeah.
life. It could be something
Absolutely.
small, but I think that I think people really need to do that
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
more.
So when I had the opportunity to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree, I was in an accelerated program, right? I had a year and a half, and 6 weeks, every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever, I had to do a new class, right? After every class, I celebrated. I don't care if I took myself out to dinner, popped open a bottle of wine, whatever it was in that moment, I celebrated. I'm going to celebrate being on this podcast. I'm going to be like, I'm going to go get a glass of wine when we're done, and I'm going to celebrate that I just finished this podcast, right? But I celebrate the small moments. And people think, like you said, the celebration means I need to do a girls trip and we need to go to Cancun. Nah, no, no. You can celebrate right here in your living room. I can turn on the music, I can dance, and where them fans at and start popping my fan and doing my dance, right? Whatever it is, celebrate it, right? Celebrate it. I'm also one of those people that I when I talk about experience and celebrate, I take pictures, right? Because pictures are going to show me. So when I'm old and my memory might be a little shaky, I'm gonna have that picture and go back, look what we were doing at this time. One of my friends, she had turned 50, and I created a photo album for the 10 years that her and I had been, as friendships, and created all of our pictures together and put it in a photo album and gave it to her. She had tears in her eyes. It didn't cost me nothing. I mean, it cost me a little, but it wasn't no big thing. It was thoughtful, right? It was a thoughtful gift. And that's what we want. We want to do everything for the gram, right? We got to be able to post it. We got to make it look better than the next person. And it's not. It's so not. There's not a lot of people who are actually real on social media. I might be one of the few real people. Like I put my highs and my lows on there, because people need to know. People need to know it's not easy. It's not easy. Accomplishing goals is not easy. Doing self love is not easy. The easy part is the care, right? It's not. The journey is never that easy. The longer you're in it, the easier it becomes. So you have to get past that hard part, right? It's no different than when you're working out. You start going to the gym, you're like, oh, I don't like this. But if you keep going 6 months, it's a habit now. That's what we're trying to do, create habits. And that's where people get stuck because those first 3 months might be hard. We have to push past it, right? I tell people that's my tag. Let's go. When they get ready, that's why having a coach is also important because it's the accountability. I can hold you accountable. What are your goals? What are we accomplishing here? All right, what did you do? What worked? What didn't work? Let's adjust, right? Let's fix it. Let's go. Let's keep going, right? A lot of people because they don't have the support system, they quit on themselves. We can't quit on ourselves. We have to keep going. We have to keep going.
I love that. I love that. And I love the whole thing about creating habits because that's something else. That was something that I recently started doing as well. I read the book Atomic Habits, and it talks about how you do small things and it add up to be a big thing, and then you add something else into it. And I strongly encourage people that too, when you normally do something that's destructive, do something that is going to uplift you, read or celebrate. I mean, do something to change your mind and make that a habit. Just start doing it every day until it becomes a part of your life. Wow, I love that. So, Coach Tiffany, I got one other question to ask you, and this is something that you said earlier, and I think this is something that people struggle with too. Like you said that you share with your mom that you were coming out of that relationship, and you said that person makes you cry. And she said to you, but he makes me laugh. And you stayed in the situation maybe a little bit longer than what you should have. You stayed in a little bit longer, but there are people that are in situation. It may not even be a relationship, but they're in the situation because they're trying to satisfy someone else, or they're worrying about what other people are going to say about them. How do you get past that with loving yourself more than giving a damn about what people think about you?
That's just it. I don't give a damn, right? But that's a hard concept, right? That's a hard concept to implement when we've been told ride or die, stick it out. You can't quit, right? But I'm dishonoring who I am. I'm who I am is not a crier. I am not supposed to be crying. I'm not supposed to be crying in a relationship, right? So, but part of that response was because the stuff my mom hadn't dealt with, right? So her thing was, but he makes me laugh. Okay, you can call him. I don't need to be on that phone, right? I don't need to be in his presence. But again, it's the part of I don't want to be alone. I put time and energy into this. And other people are saying, but he's a nice person, but you're dealing with him at a different level than what I am. My mom wasn't dealing with him in that level. He was coming over, he was making her laugh, everything was fine. And I would be sitting there like this, right? It's not healthy, right? I want to be healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and physically. I want to be healthy across the board. Other people, I don't care anymore. I used to care. Part of that is the healing journey, right? The other part of it is maturity. People can't help you out of the situations. They're not living with the situation. If I'm not dealing, if other people are not dealing with the uh, the results of how someone's treating you, you got to forget them other people. If they're not coming in to save it, forget it. They're not living with it. It's not their decision. Let them deal with their own life. I deal with mine, right? The other part is we need to stay out of people's business. We let too many people in. I was that person where things wouldn't work out. I'd be calling my friends, texting them, and da 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 da. And then you in a group chat with 8 people, and you're getting 8 different things coming back at you. Where's my voice? Right? I don't even know what my voice is. As I've gotten older, people don't even know if I go out on a date because I don't tell them anything. Right? You probably won't know until I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm in a relationship, I'm getting married, right? They'll be like, wait, who, what? Right? Oh, yeah, we've been seeing each other for 2 years. Like, you won't know because I, going back to that clarity, I have now the clarity. I remove the clutter. I can see now. We have to be, should you have wise counsel around you? Yes, right? But be very cautious who that wise counsel is. If everybody is saying the same thing, that's probably not going to be your wise counsel. You need that person who's going to call you out on your bull crap. That's wise counsel. But people don't want that. Everybody wants to hold hands, sing kumbaya, and everything's going to be okay. And that person is the horrible person, and you have no accountability in it. That's not how that works, right? That's so not how it works. So yeah, it's hard, right? Especially when it's a parent, But seeing now, looking back, my mom's experience wasn't probably the one that I should have been going to at the time, but she met me where she was at. I had to grow and learn. And that's a lot of times what we hear. We get the perspective of where people are currently at. Yeah. If they're broken, I don't want to hear what you got to say. No, I'm good. I'm going to go over here. Or I'm going to just journal it out. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to let the universe, God, whatever you believe in, right, speak to me and give me the answer, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So That's that. You gotta shut the noise from other people because people just be talking. They just be talking. Shut the noise. Shut it.
Shut the noise. I
Shut the
love
noise.
it. Shut the noise. Shut the noise. And people meet you where they are. I mean, I think that is like so powerful because, but again, going back to clarity, that's why it is so important that you have clarity. So when they're meeting you where they are, you can be like, no, that's your
hmm
story. That ain't gonna
hmm
be
hmm
mine. You can
hmm
see it clear as day. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was really good. That was really
Yeah,
good.
because one of the other things is if we look at social media, right, and everybody's telling their story from where they're at. One of the things social media will give you a filter on your pictures, but social media doesn't give you a filter on your words, right? So people get on there, everybody's got something to say, and everybody got something to type, and you're like, where is this coming from, right? And as a healed person or a person that's on the journey of healing, you can see, yeah, that's probably not what I need to hear, right? That's probably what I not don't need to read. But one of the things for me with clarity, I'm all big about, minimalist, right? So when I'm getting ready to make a decision, I go in my closet, I clean stuff out because I need everything to be in order. I need to purge not just my brain, but I need to purge things around me. I got a stack of mail. Let me purge that. When I start purging, then clarity starts coming to me. It's part of that self-care, right? I'm getting rid of stuff, whether it's shoes, whether it's clothes, whether it's old mail, whether cleaning out my phone. That's part of self-care, right? Cleaning out that phone, get rid of them pictures, delete them text messages, put do not answer, whatever you need to do. This thing right here is a blessing and a curse. Get rid of it. You got to clean it. You got to clean it. You got to clean your phone. You got to clean your phone, right? If you're holding on to
Wow.
old pictures from relationships for 10 years ago, why? Why?
Why? Why?
You can
Why?
put it in a folder. It don't need to be on a scroll. You don't need to be going back looking at it. Download it on a flash drive and call it a day, but get it off your phone, right? Get rid of them text messages. Them text messages ain't doing nothing but keep bringing you back, right? Keeps
But
bringing
people
you
got
back.
to keep
You
the
got to move
receipts.
forward. No, for what?
They want to keep the receipts.
For
They want
what?
to
What
keep the
what good what good
receipt.
does what good does it do for you?
Uh,
What good is that receipt? Right?
None at all. It only holds you to that place, that
Yeah.
moment in
So
time.
here's
That's all it
here's
does.
here's here's the receipt that I have. This is the best receipt, right? The disrespect is the receipt. I don't need anything else. The way you made me feel is the receipt. I don't need to show it. I don't need to look at it again. I remember it, right? Our memory is there. We know it. That muscle memory is tough, right? It remembers. It remembers. I don't need the receipt. I I could give you my phone, John, and you could look at it and you'd be like, she's boring, right? Because there's nothing in there that you're gonna be like, ooh, I got the tea. There's no tea on my phone.
Uh, okay, so Coach Tim, you talked about so many great things. So let's just do a little quick recap. So boundaries, why are they important?
Boundaries are important because you have to have them because people are going to overstep them, right? People are going to take from you. You have to have your boundaries, or people are going to overstep, and then that's not honoring who you are and your authentic self.
Okay. Clarity, why is that important?
Ooh, you need the clarity so you can make decisions based on what you're seeing and not what you want to see, right? You need to be able to make decisions on what you actually are seeing and not the image of what you want, because we create pictures in our head. Now, let me see that person, let me see that situation for what it really is, right? People see a car. Ooh, that car is great, right? Looks good, looks shiny, but the car note that comes along with it is $952. Can you afford it? But it looks good, right? Clarity. You need the clarity. See
Okay.
things as is.
Self-love. Why, like what's the benefits of self-love?
If you love yourself, you're not searching and chasing after other things and situations and people. Let yourself be the best relationship that you ever have. You need that relationship with yourself. When you love yourself, all those other things will come to you in the way that you need it.
Okay. And self-care. Importance of self-care.
Self-care is that exhale moment, right? It's that moment of I'm celebrating myself. I've done this work. I'm living life, right? That self-care is an experience, right? With however you create it, create that experience for yourself, right? It gives you, it's also part of that fills you up. It allows you to continue on that journey, right? I'm going to take this time. I'm going to do this little self-care so I can do the next step, right? You finish one goal, let's go to the next, right? We need the rest, right? Rest is so important, however that looks for you. Yeah, we need it. Self-love and self-care.
Wow, I love that. So, guys, if you want more information on Coach Tiffany, you can always visit her website, www.more2wellness, and more spelled Moore, her last name, more2wellness.com. And then if you want to, get her as your life coach, you can tell she's pretty freaking amazing. You can email her at info@more2wellness.com. So you can visit her website at www.more2wellness.com. You can contact her at info@more2wellness.com. And you guys already can see, for those that don't see it, you're going to be listening to it. If you want to follow Tiffany on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow her on both platforms at Miss Tiff 1222. That's your birthday, 1222?
It is.
Or was that the year you was born? You was born in 1920.
You got jokes. But I just want to say on that, for people who are thinking about coaching, I do 30-minute free consultations, right? That's to see, do you really need this? And also, would we work well together? So I don't want you to spend your money and you be like, ooh, we don't work well together, right? I don't want to take your money and I don't want to waste my time. So yeah, you get a 30-minute free consult for us to see, is this a good partnership? So hit me up. I'm here for you.
Hit her up, because, and everybody needs to know, a life coach is not a therapist. They're not here to fix your life. They're here to help you, move forward. They ain't here to fix your past and all this other kind of stuff. So if you're looking for that, you need to go through your EAP on your job. It works. I go through it every year. So go through them and get you a therapist and, get back on the right track. Yeah, get back on the right track. So, guys, as you know, this is season 10 of the podcast. I told you guys we're going to give something away every week. So what we're going to do tonight is, so this is season 10, and this is going to end on the 3rd year anniversary. So I'm going to cash up somebody $30 tonight, right? In honor of 3 years in episode 10. But I have a question for you. You got 30 seconds. I'm going to show you on my phone. I put a timer. That's what I was doing. I wasn't ignoring Coach Tiff. I was putting 30 seconds on my phone. But you got 30 seconds to tell me or put in the chat, what was Rev Mac from last week, what was the name of his ministry or organization? Where did he go? And I just put the 30 seconds on, and it's counting down. So y'all got 30 seconds to put it on there. Y'all see it's counting down. So Reverend Mac last week, his ministry was called something. It's super common. We said it multiple times in the podcast. So throw it in there and then DM me. First person put in there, DM me your information, and I will cash up you that $30 tonight. That 30 seconds is over with.
That was quick.
That was quick. Yeah, that was quick. Okay, so listen up, guys. So what we're going to do every episode, so nobody won that tonight. So next week, we're going to do a giveaway again next week. And that $30 is going to be included in that. So it'll be $30 plus what we're giving away next week.
Wait,
so
can I do it?
Absolutely. Well, no, you can't do next week. You can't do next week. You might need to just wait until like the following week and come back. Yeah, because so so next week, guys, tune in. We will be asking the question at the end of the podcast, and the $30 that nobody won tonight, it will be added to next week. So tune in next week. And well, we got some more prizes that we're going to be giving away. But tune in next week. Thank you, Pat. She said, congratulations on year 3. Thank you so much. Oh, and so a shout out to Pat. So this is one thing I love about Pat. Pat has been like, I think out of all the 10 seasons, the 3 years that I've done the podcast, Pat may have missed like 3 episodes of the podcast. She's always here. She's a good friend of mine. She keeps my dog when I travel and everything. So I love you to death, Pat. So yeah, but tune in next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have an author that's going to be on here next week, tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about life after divorce. So she's written a couple of books on that, and we're going to be talking about soul ties. So make sure you tune in next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, go out and follow Tiffany on Instagram and TikTok at Miss MS Tiff TIFF 1222 on both of those platforms. And her information regarding her website is www.more to wellness, MOORE to wellness.com, and her email address is info@more2wellness.com. Oh, guys, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. But thank you all, and I will see y'all next Monday. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Tiffany, that was awesome.